Hello, you are welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for choosing us. Thank you for stopping by this channel today. So, today's tutorial is going to be on a turban, and the turban I will be adding a fascinator, which I will use the material in my hand now to create. This material in my hand is called sineme. So it's a material for art. So that's what I'll be using to create the fascinator, and I'm not going to be molding. So I started by creating a perfect circle using uh, something that is already a circle. So I use the bow there for me to get the perfect circle. I don't want to assume, I don't want to draw, I might not get it well. So when I even wanted to make a bigger size, I even use a bigger bow to cut it out. So it's the easiest way for you to cut out your circle. So right now I have two circles with me. I have two circles with me, and my intention is to put the two together, as in glue it together. Siname is such a material that is very easy to work with. So to glue it together, what I simply do is to iron. So please, if you are ironing, it might not perfectly glue without you sprinkling some water on it. And better still, if you have spray starch, just spray it on it, or any form of stiffener. It will help you glue it together as you iron. But for me, water is perfect. All right, so the next thing I hope to achieve is for me to get it folded. So to do that, I will just use my own hand to assist the cinnamon to fold. So I can do it like this. Just bend one side while ironing, fold the other side. Or I can simply just iron and then fold the both sides together when it is still very hot. You understand? So let's do that method. I'll just iron like this, like you see now. I'll iron it, make sure it's still very hot, and quickly fold it with my hand. So by the time it will get cold, it will assume that shape in my hand now. It will take a curve, it will not be flat. But this is not all I will do to get it folded. So let's just go further. I'm not really working on this size. I'm working on a bigger size, please. So for me to work on this big size with me, what I did was what I have just showed you. So what I will do next is that I will need to add my art wire to it. And to add this art wire, I'll be using needle and thread, and I'll be using a thread that is uh, same color with the cinnamon I'm working on. So I'll be using a thread that is the same color with the cinnamon I'm working on. It is very important that you do not use a contrasting thread, because it it will show up in your work. So please try to avoid using a contrasting thread. Now you can fix your art wire in two ways. The first one is for you to first of all tie the wire, as in create the circle out of the wire, then place the circle on the cinnamon and sew it on it. Or you can see what I'm doing. I did not create the circle, but I just put it straight, and I'll just keep bending it as I sew it on it. And when I get to the part where the both edges of the wire are to meet, I'll secure those parts very well. because if I don't secure that part very well, it's going to cause some kind of obstruction to my work, which I will not really want to happen. So while you are sewing the iron to the siname, you will encounter little challenge, and that's the fact that siname have rough edges. It's not smooth, so it will have a way of always trying to drag your thread. If you are not careful, it will even cut your thread. Yes, that's just it. So you just need to work on it and be careful. So right now I am done with my fixing like this. So the next thing I'll do, you can see now that with the iron I will even get a better fold. But you don't just fold it once. So you see the way I'm folding it carefully. Don't just bend it once for your iron to now have a crack. You understand? All right. So the next thing I'll do, apart from the fact that I have to curve the iron again, is that I will create a bias. I'll create a bias, and I'll be using the siname to create the bias. It's just a normal bias, like the same type of bias you use for your sewing. You understand? So I'll fold both edges, from the left, from the right, and then I'll make sure that I have a little bit of separation at the middle. So that separation is what will allow me to be able to clip it to the uh, to the brim that I have already created. So it will help me to perfectly cover the iron. So the iron I used in holding the siname has its own importance. It will help that siname to stand at all time. Without the iron, creating your circle just like that is like doing nothing, because at any little stress, it will stretch back. So the iron will help you to keep the shape. So I need to cover the iron and not make it obvious. So because of that, I created the bias. So you can see the bias, and you can see how I am now applying it carefully to the brim of the fascinator. So what I am doing is that I am using my hand. Siname is one material that I know is flexible for you to work with. Very flexible. Wherever you bend it to, it will go. Wherever you command it, whatever you command it, that's what it will do. So as I put it on the brain, the first thing I'm doing is to use my hands to like mold it to shape and help it to create the circle around the brain. So as I do that, I use my office pin to secure it. But as I keep securing, by the time I secure finally, two things can happen. Either I will use my sewing machine to run it through, or if you don't have a sewing machine, it's not a problem. You can use your needle and thread and sew it neatly, in out neatly. Don't sew across the iron, and ensure that your thread is not thick. So all you need to do is just like give a single strand to your thread, your needle I mean, and then just sew it neatly. It will not show. Ensure that the thread you are using is same color with the siname that you are working with. So as I keep molding, I keep pinning each part of it, so that by the time I want to sew it, I will not have any challenge sewing it. All right. So this is how I go about the brim of the fascinator. So the last thing I will want to show you is how to conclude this part where you are adding, where you are covering using your bias. How to conclude it is what I will show to you quickly before I will move on to how I will create the turban, after which I will also come back and show you the final decoration. So this is the ending part. So I will cut it now, and there is excess after I have cut it. Then I will open the bias up, fold it inward like this, and bend it back. All right, so it will give me a good edge. It will give me a neat edge, and then I will pin it. So after this process, I will just sew it. So this is how it will look. This is just it. I'm yet to sew it, but this is how it will look. So I will not be doing the sewing on camera. So it's just to run it with machine, or you use your hand to sew it. So we are going straight to how to make the turban. Are you ready? So please, if you enjoy my tutorials, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. And I also encourage my subscribers to send me videos on what they want to learn, and I will make the I will to send me pictures on what they want to learn, and I promise to make the video. It might not come instantly. Some do come instantly. If your own do not come instantly, please don't be angry. I will make the video. So I'll be using the stretchy fabric to make the cap. This is satin, so it's stretchy. It's not all that stretchy, but at least it has a little bit of elasticity. Yes, so that's what I'll be using to create the cap. So let's just talk about the measurement. The measurement I'll be using on a fold, it's 17, and I'll be using, when you open it, it will be 34, and then I'll be using the length of 30. Now, it is not compulsory you work with 34 by 30. It's just because I chose to. If you want, if you want to work with something that is convenient, I will advise that you work with 28 by 30. That will be perfect. Is that okay? But for me, I used 34 by 30. I will cut off my excesses and all of that. I just did it. I just work with that. All right. So to work on the material, this is the 34 opened. You understand? So I will start by pleating it the way you see me folding with my hand now. This is how I pleat. So each of my fold I make, I sew it with my needle and thread. For each of my fold, I sew it with my needle and thread. And then by the time I'm done sewing, that's what I will get. So another thing that I'm going to do right away, is creating what I'm using to make the bows. So for that particular one, the material I used was 5 inches. So after folding and sewing, I'll be getting like 4. Yes. So this is the fascinator part which I have prepared, is ready. So this is the 5 inches I folded, I sew it and weave. Then I'll turn it over, and then I will use crinoline. I'll use crinoline to make the bow that I want. So to make the bow, this is 6 inches creloning. It doesn't matter if you have the small creloning, you can actually work with the small creloning, but 6 inches creloning is not bad as well. So you just fold it to size, use your baby pin to pass it in, and you get a good result from it. So the length I used, I did not measure it. It depends on the length of bow you wish to create and the numbers of bows that you also wish to create. Is that okay? All right. So after fixing the creloning in, I just try to stretch it so that the material will not look so squeezed and unsmooth. So I try to like push, stretch the material, force some bit of creloning in, so to get the reflection coming out and looking bright, and also help my bow to come out better. Is that okay? So this is just how I fix in my uh, creloning, and this is also how I make the bow. So when I'm done pushing it in, I just determine the size of bow I would want to use, fold it, and then create the style I wish to create. It's very important. So it's your choice to make. For the length, it's your choice. It's not, you don't need to make the exact length that is with me. So folding it is your choice. You can do 20 inches, you can do 18, you can do 10, you can do as small as 8 inches. So it's your choice. All right. So this is just how I create my bow. you.